The reason I was asking is I pressed record, by the way. The Amazon Web Services guys, they have an account manager assigned to us, and he periodically stops by, and he was telling me to Google Tesla, and that they have an 18-wheeler that they are. There's a couple of YouTube videos out there about the Tesla 18-wheeler, and I guess they're in beta at the moment. So that was pretty interesting. See, whatever, a 40 or 50,000 pound hauling vehicle run on electricity. They put the steering wheel and the driver pack, function in the center of the cab. So it's pretty interesting. Anyway, what's going on for me at the moment is this was my former angle sensor device for the steering. This was the magnetic deal, and when I tried to show you guys the work the other day, it didn't take much, but this had become slightly off kilter, and so the angle was completely screwed up. So that led to, as you might be able to discern, there's 2 or 3 axes in there and multiple screws that could come loose. So I've gone with a sort of a monolithic design. So this is all one piece up to here, and then I had 3D printed a deal that could slide back and forth along this axis, so I could get it tuned. And so now I've the whole thing is just one piece, and if it's 2 millimeters off, then I'll be screwed and have to reprint the whole thing again. I'm really close. So now I've got to mount the sensor there, and there's 2 bolt holes I've actually drilled into the forged front axle, not the whole way through, but enough to get 2 bolts, so it should be secure. The other thing that's interesting is that you can't really tell it here, but the forged front axle actually has a ridge to it, so I had to effectively print so that it fit there snugly. So my next step is to get that on and working. The other thing that I was going to share with you, I mean, that's what it looks like in a 3D printed. Can you see my screen, by the way? I think you can.
Yeah.
Yes.
The other thing I 3D printed is a stand for the GPS. So the antennas that I got that you guys have seen, this one didn't come with a stand, so I had to 3D print a stand. So that was useful. And I got my, let's see, I better pull this. Why is that doing that? I'm not sure what screen you're seeing. I think you're seeing the screen. I don't.
I can see a GPS screen.
Yeah. I was trying to make it full screen, and it was flipping over to another screen. So at the moment, I do have my base and rover GPS working through the OEM provided software, and am receiving, I don't know why, it's narrow_INT is what it considers to be, an RTK fix. So I'm getting RTK fix, and you can't tell it by just looking at the screen, but the 2 antennas are literally just about 10 feet away from my brick, wall. So it's only effectively seeing half the sky. So it's picking up, though, 21 satellites and using 15 of them, and it's getting, RTK. So I'm pretty, happy with that. But all is not wonderful because I haven't been able to successfully read that into a ROS message yet. I thought I captured the screen, the error that I was getting. Maybe I didn't capture that before I left this morning. But the error that I'm getting is that I'm getting a checksum error, and I'm hoping that the problem is because I'm taking a binary message from my GPS, and I think it probably wants ASCII. So I've got to test that to see if hoping that's my problem with my GPS. I'm trying to pull up my instructions that I was writing on configuring this ComNav device. Let's make this a little bit bigger. So if you guys haven't ever seen, there's this guy who wrote a blog post, Deep South Robotics. Again, shout out to him. He's really done a nice job of laying out different options on RTK stuff. But the settings that I'm giving, so these are the settings to program the actual GPS or to configure the GPS. I don't know if you guys have ever, I think this is like Novotel statements, although this is a ComNav.
We're still seeing your screen. That was just the plot of the ground plot.
Oh, thanks for that. I need to share something different. Then let me stop sharing and start sharing again. I always try to do the desktop. How about now?
Yeah, that's working.
So these are this is what the development board looks like, and the actual GPS unit is this, about the size of a credit card. And these are you go through the OEM software and you send these commands to the actual GPS unit. And so this is basically saying, I want best pause, and that B stands for binary. That 1 is the timing, that's 1 hertz, but I'm actually doing 10 hertz. So this is maybe slightly different instructions. So I'm hoping if I change that to ASCII, that the NEMA, I've forgotten exactly which, let's see what, going looking for my instructions here. At the moment when I just wanted to show you the ROS command that I was executing. Yeah, that one. I mean, the baud rate, my baud rate is, again, I haven't updated these instructions, but so the baud rate is 115,200. But that's the package that I was trying to execute, and I'm getting an error on that package at the moment. So I'm not getting a ROS fix.
Well,
Yep.
A couple of things. If you back up to those commands you were showing, you said it was best pause B, and B is for binary. If you put an A, it's for ASCII, and there's a third option. If you don't put any letter on the end, it gives you another format. It's another ASCII format, but they say one of them is easier for a human to read, and then the one that's an A for ASCII, I think, is the one that normally you'd have computer reading. But none of those are putting out NEMA data. So BestPause B is putting out, that's their, what they call their Novotel binary messages, their Novotel messages. I don't think that's going to give you NEMA. So you're probably going to have to find, is this the instructions you used on the first time around? Or did you have something else?
No, these are, as best I can work. I mean, these go back a year when I was messing with this thing, but so these are a year old instructions is my honest answer.
Well, if this was working before, it could be that when you turn on this log message, that's in addition to the NEMA data that it's putting out, which you're going to have for your ROS driver work. So it could be this was additional stuff that you didn't really need. But if you just connect your receiver to a terminal program and just have it dump stuff on the screen, you can see what's coming out. So if you can get to the point where it's dumping out NEMA messages, then that's what the NavSat driver wants to see.
Yeah, in my previous instructions, you know, I had told myself, hey, do a cat to
Yeah,
see.
like that. Yeah.
And obviously, when I did these instructions, that was working. I'm getting binary now, so I don't think I'm not successfully getting anything that's readable by a human or computer or yet. So I've got to go back and reconfigure my. But you're definitely.
The driver wants to see what you're showing right there on the screen. So if you can get it to put out that kind of stuff, that's what the driver wants to see.
Okay.
It could be if you do BestPause A that it will be NEMA, but I don't think it is. I think it's just going to be their fields that's comma separated. So it'll be readable, but the driver's not going to like that. So I'm not sure. I don't recall what the command is to put that out.
Yeah, the reference manual. I mean, as you would guess, they've got a long list of.
Do they say which module is on this? Which Novotel module they're using?
No, it's not a Novotel module. It comes from China, and it's ComNav. It's not Novotel. But it certainly looks like Novotel.
Yeah, I figured they just put a Novotel module. It could be they just use their command set because that's easier than making up your own. So if you search through there, just search for, just search your document for NEMA and see what it, NMEA. Right there, right before you do, right there at the bottom, it says Chapter 4 log messages. Binary layout, log message list. Look through that. Yeah, scroll down and see what you got there. Is everything right there? Okay, NEMA sentences, and see if that'll tell you, you know, how to turn those on. That's what you need to do, is turn that on to get those, to get the readable stuff that the driver wants to see. So it's going to be, they're going to have, it's going to be a log message. You just say log, and then whatever this was called. And then again, just like you had before, but instead of BestPause, I think it will be something log NEMA or.
Trying to get to 143 international standard messages, NEMA messages. So that's. Yep.
So I was looking in that heading there where it's saying, it says, this is what the messages are. Does it tell you how to turn those on? One position.
GPG, GA on time 1. The recommended input.
Yeah, that's what you want right there. That GPGGA is, that says you want to have the, if you go back and look at your printout you had, one of the messages going to be called $GPGGA. And so that's turning that on. So you can see right there one of the messages. That's how you turn on that message to put it out. So if you want GGA and GSA and RMC, then there will be that'll be the messages you want to do. So that other screen you just now had. So you want to say log GPGGA and on time 1 for once a second, or on time 10 for 10 times a second. And that's how you get these messages to show up. So that is stuff for the BestPause and that stuff. You don't need those commands at all.
Yeah, I'm just disappointed in my documentation from a year ago. I obviously got it on my screen. I don't know
And
how.
and it could be that when you received it, these were already turned on. So that's maybe why you didn't have to go through and set your own messages to turn that on.
So that's what getting my angle sensor version 2 installed and operational, and getting ROS message read on my laptop, and then ultimately into the RPI. Those are next steps for me. I also wanted to share with you guys. I mean, I know that one or both of you have talked about the NVIDIA stuff before, and I was really impressed. I mean, I spent a little bit of time looking at some of the documentation they've got around this, and they've got this. What do they call it? The jet bot. I mean, so they've got a whole thing around how to get your own jet bot going, and they do obstacle avoidance with the camera that they suggests on the jet bot, which I thought was pretty cool. So I thought I would share that with you as well. So their camera is, they were suggesting either this one or the Raspberry Pi camera with I'm going to call it a fisheye lens, but I guess it's a 160-degree lens. So not that I'm going to go buy a JetBot or a Jetson Nano. I just thought it was, I think, a really nice way that they presented the whole challenge of, hey, here's how to step up a computer, and here's the platform, and here's how to get it going. I don't think there's anything Ross about this, but again, I just thought it was interesting. That's what's going on in my world. What's going on with you, Matt?
I'm getting ready to leave for Roscon tomorrow.
Oh, that's fun. Where are you going? Where is it this time?
Macau.
Interesting time to be in China.
Yeah, next year in Vegas, so mark your calendars.
Yeah, it's a little bit unsettling, all that stuff that's going on the other side of the water there from Macau.
Yeah.
Steer clear of that.
Maybe they'll have a tour line that goes over there and lets you see it from the harbor and brings you back.
How long will you be over there?
I come back around the 7th.
Oh, wow, that's a good amount of time.
I'm stopping in Taiwan and then Vietnam on the way out.
Are you taking any coffee mugs with you?
Yeah, for Juan of Leno Robot. I'm going to talk to him. I still think he's got a really good base software for that we could use leverage.
They have they do the ROSMe, right?
Yeah.
ROSMe install and it just goes. Yeah, I've used that multiple times.
They do some pretty cool stuff. So I was going to meet with them at Roscon this year, next week, but bring them some mugs. But I didn't bring a lot of mugs because I didn't find a supplier over there to print them, and the ones I use here, they don't ship overseas. And it turns out that can be a little bit of a challenge.
Cool. That's awesome. Jeff, anything going on in your world you want to share?
I was talking to these guys in California. They're building a delivery robot, and I'll post the link to a video here. So there's the link to it, and I'll play the video in a second if I can get this figured out. And they're building. If you go to this link, it goes to Twitter, and then Twitter takes you to a news channel. And for some reason, you can't change the position in the video. So let me see if I can get this to work here. I've been sitting here and I ran it up to just before it starts. So let's see, screen 2. And I don't know if the audio is going to play. We'll see here. Okay, can you see that screen?
Yes, celebrates 10-year anniversary of StartX.
Okay, I'll try to start it and maximize the screen and turn the audio on. So we'll see what happens. Can you hear the audio on that?
Choppy. Yeah, the video is fine. The audio is just not happening.
Oh, well, it's almost over now, so we'll see.
That's really cool.
So stop share. Okay, so later you can go click on the video and you can watch it. So you have to, as I say, you have to sit there and watch the whole thing before it comes up to that. So, and so the reason I know about these guys, they sent me an email. They're trying to convert their Swift Nav GPS over to the uBlocks GPS. So they're trying to get that to work through ROS. So that's what they're doing on that. And I believe that eventually they want to get the dual antenna so they get the heading information, the static heading out of it also. So I've been talking to those guys for the last couple of days, and I got another email here I haven't checked yet to see where they're at with that. So let's see, other things in my world. Let me shut down that. Shut down that. So another thing, I know you're probably real tired of hearing me whine about my lights and my robots, but MPGA just came out with another thing. They said, oh, here's some tail lights that you can put on your motorcycle or golf cart or whatever. And I was looking at it. If you watch the video, he indicates that the red tail light is always on, and that's not really what I wanted. So which after I watched the video and looked at their documentation here, it says somewhere you hook the tail light up to your headlights. So apparently when you turn the headlights on your vehicle, you've always got a red indicator on the back. But I went out to eBay and found this one, and you get 2 for about the same price. And if you look at their pictures here, let's see, they had a nice picture somewhere. And here they're showing you can have just the turn signals on, or I think on the left here it shows just the red on, and then if you turn the brakes on, brake light wire on, it gets a lot brighter. And you can run it with the normal running indicator and then the turn signals going. So I ordered a couple of those, and those showed up today, and they look like this. They're just like the pictures in the eBay ad there. And I hook them up, and they do look, and they are fairly bright, and they do what they're supposed to. So that's something else I might. And they got tape on the back. I could maybe stick them right on, and at least temporarily, and then I might have put some straps to hold it on there. So that's yet another thing that it just showed up in the mail. So I got that. What's that?
I said that's really cool.
And we'll see how well it works. So let's see. Another thing was if we go back to the MPGA, they wanted what, $6 for it, but then you got to pay another $6.95 shipping for anything from there. And the one on eBay I got for let's see, I'm probably not sharing right now, am I? Okay, so but the one on eBay you get 2 for I think it was $6.25, and you get free shipping. So they're about half the price if you get it that way. So that's what those just showed up today. So I'll play with those. Back to my the problems I've been complaining about lately, my serial port stuff. I finally decided, the conclusion I came to was that for whatever reason, my Raspberry Pi running Ubuntu doesn't seem to like USB ports completely, and you'll get random errors on it. And then on top of that, my little eval board I'm talking to seems to be sensitive to any USB errors, and it seems to be resetting my target processor. So I basically moved my eval board to a base port on the on the Raspberry Pi, and that seems to keep it happy now. And then since I don't have room for everything, I moved my laser scanner out to the other side of a USB port. And if I watch the D message, it still just randomly pops up saying it got some kind of an error, can't get the FTDI SIO something status, but nothing seems to complain beyond that. It just randomly puts up an error and the laser scanner keeps running and running. So I think for the moment that'll solve my problem, but I probably will go into my eval board and add a dedicated UART with a UART to USB connector, so I don't have to go through the debug port. In which case, any little glitch on the USB isn't going to reset my processor. So that's something I'll move on to there. So I'm set up to the point now where I need to take it outside and drive it, but I lost my correction data because my SIM card I was using got put into our company robot we just built. So I've got no way to get correction data, so I have to figure out some way to do that. So I can either build a base station with a Swift nav receiver and then use their radios to send the data from the base station to my robot. Or I could, on a related note, I can just take a laptop and set it up anywhere. As long as I can connect to the alternate company network and get correction data, I could feed that to the Swift nav radio and then put the other Swift nav radio on the robot. And that way I can get correction data that way. Or the other thing I thought of, I could take the company robot outside and have it sitting there as my access point, because it can connect to the internet, and then I could have my robot connect to that, and that'll give me internet access. So as I drive around, then I could get correction data that way. So otherwise I have to go tear the robot completely apart, pull the cell modem out, take the card out, put back in the little Verizon jetpack, and then I can plug it in and do my experiments when I'm not going to put it all back together again. So that's going to get old really quick. So I haven't attempted that one yet. So I'm still looking for a way to do that. Another thing I can do, I can just go out and get my own SIM card and get my own account. And then I won't have to worry about this kind of stuff. And if I whine around enough, I might be able to get the company to pay for another account so I can continue my experiments. So that's just my world right at the moment, trying to get all this stuff to work.
Yeah, that reminds me that I also have, at the moment, my correction data is hardwired from one serial port to another on the two boards. So I went and bought the small 3DR radios that have been, I think, multiple people have used those. So that's what I was using previously. So that was always figuring that out for me was a little bit of a challenge, but I think hopefully if my documentation holds from the previous time that I did it.
Did you get those radios to work? Did that work for you to send the correction data?
I don't remember what baud rate. It seems to me that I ended up using like 38,000 as the baud rate, but yeah, I definitely got it to work previously. Let's see if I have my picture of what that may have looked like.
I had seen that as an option, that people were doing that, and I didn't know how well it was working. So you're going to have to test your range, and you're going to have to verify it's not dropping data or whatever. I know those long-range radios that I use for my e-stop box or my remote control box don't seem to send data as fast as I thought they should, but I was thinking that that little radio you just held up, I was thinking those would send, do a reasonable job of sending the data. So that's another option. Instead of using the Swift nav radios for my stuff, I've got some of those like you just showed. I could try that and see what kind of range I can get. And it could be I just have to cut it down to the point where I can't go all the way around the building, because I got a building in a way that blocks the radio.
Yeah, the picture's not very good here, but you can see I needed to go from serial to TTL, so this was, I forget all the language, but so one wire out of that, a couple of resistors probably over here on this board, and programming the little radio I had to give it a new net ID. I had to use Mission Planner software to do that, so that was a bit of a goofiness, but yeah, I was able to get it to work, and then ultimately I was using Pixhawk at the time, so ultimately fed it into Pixhawk after a little bit more configuration.
While you're right there, scroll back up about 3 pages where you had some kind of configuration data. A little more. Look like GPS configuration. Oh, stop right there. No, that is the same stuff you had before.
Yeah,
I thought, well, magically there's the commands you need, but I guess it's not. So
no, I don't see. It's really interesting to me that. Yeah. So anyway, I'll.
So Jeff, why don't you take your correction data over the ROS topic, so you don't have 2 radios?
Well, I can, but I don't have any access to the internet. That's my whole problem. When I don't have my SIM card, I don't have access to the internet, so I don't have anywhere to get my data.
Okay.
Now, I could have something on the robot connect to the company alternate network, but you get about 30 feet away from the building, and I lose that because it's designed to work inside of the building. So somehow I got to get out to the internet to get the correction data, and if it's from some base station, then I have to get it from there over a radio to my robot. Now, if I could pick up, live internet out in the middle of the parking lot, I don't need to go through anything extra. I can just connect to it and away I go. So I just little things to try to figure out how to put all these different pieces together and come up with a way that, we should just set up a thing where we've got a permanent base station and a transmitter, and then you can, whatever we want, you just put one of these little radios on. So if we can get the little cheap telemetry radios to work, that would be probably a good solution, because, you just stick it on something and say go, and away you're all set up and ready to go. So also, as I was just digging, Seed Studio just sent me an update email there. That's a company in China that sells all kinds of cute little gadgets. And I noticed they've got a blog post that said, I just posted that. It says run ROS Melodic on Raspberry Pi 4. And I haven't looked at it real hard to know what it's actually doing, but there's somebody else who has actually gone through the steps of getting ROS to run on Raspberry Pi 4. Because when I looked at that, it turns out that to get the official Ubuntu release, which is 20.04, I think is the official release. Or no, how is that? No, they released 19.10 is the Ubuntu release, but none of the ROS stuff will run on that. So ROS 1, it says the next one they're going to put out is going to be like in 6 months, and that will be probably for 20.04. So basically those two don't go together. So I looked at ROS 2, and ROS 2 is still supporting the 18.04, 18.10 versions. So right now I can't get anything that will officially run on a Raspberry Pi 4. But then there's these guys that said, well, here, we'll just do this. They like this blog posting and tells you ways to do it. And I think it's running on one of the, it's either Debian or the actual Raspbian version. And then he was able to load the code and get Melodic running. But so I've seen people doing that, but I don't want one of these where you go down a rabbit hole and you have to go through all these extra steps that probably won't work in the end. So I keep saying, well, when they finally release a version that says it's guaranteed to work, that release a ROS version and an Ubuntu version that will work together on Raspberry Pi 4, then I'll maybe move forward on that. So that was just something interesting that popped up. So I thought I'd post that.
That's neat. So are you using the Pi 4 for anything now, or is it you can't because you can't get ROS to go on it?
I can't get enough put together that I can run ROS on it. I can load the standard, the official Raspbian version does load on it and it runs, but I can't get. It's not obvious that I can get ROS to run on it, so I just haven't even tried. So basically, it's just sitting on the shelf right now, waiting for people to catch up, I guess.
Matt, what are the guys in Argentina using for the on-rover compute?
Pi 3. I was really impressed with all of the programs Jeff got to run on his Pi 3. I didn't think you could do all that.
And those are just simply drivers. I'm not running navigation or anything else. So, the bottom line is it has to be able to support that, or you can't do anything, because I've got to have the sensors on the robot talking to some local computer in order for it to work. And if you look at the where's that?
And do you have a monitor plugged into your Raspberry Pi, or do you like VNC into it?
Right now, I've just got a monitor and a keyboard plugged into it, so I can, because I'm just experimenting. So here, let me see if I can get this to work.
I was kind of waiting for Ubiquiti to release an image that runs on the Pi 4.
That's another option too, and I don't know if they're going to get that figured out or not. So let's see, how do I get? Does this work?
Yes, we're seeing a plot.
Okay. So anyway, when I ran this, you can see the load up there isn't extremely high either at this point as it's running. Kind of moving out like that. Okay. So if and I this always confuses me. I don't know if there's a way to just have it show the average of all the processors at the same time, but none of them are, you know, the average is down around probably 25% or something with all the stuff running. And then the stuff over here, I guess I didn't explain it when I posted it. Here's the laser driver is running and publishing a scan message. And this one says min tractor, it's supposed to say mini tractor. I'm not sure what's going on. That's a little Python node that it's subscribing to command velocity, but it's not doing anything with it right now. And then it generates the output. It puts out the odometry topic. And the serial is simply a debug thing that the guy added on. So whatever comes in from my microcontroller board just shows up as a topic, so you can see the original data coming in before I convert it to odom. And then it's also doing the odometry transform. And then down here is the GPS, one of the two GPS modules running, and then one at the top, which this is the other GPS module running up here. And I didn't feed in the correction data, so the problem they were having in California where the topics didn't match, it could be if I would have started that up, I could have seen here if it's connected, because what I wanted to do is connect the, out here there would be a thing called Intrip client or Intrip ROS, I think it's called, and it should have a connection into this module here. And that's how it gets the correction data in. And I don't want that going into the top module. So I'm just gonna have to play around some topics there. But that all seemed to be working. It's just that I can't take it outside and drive it right now because I don't have correction data. And there are things on the screen here. This down thing at the bottom here is my D-message running. So you do a D-message -W and that'll follow it along. So anytime a message pops up, it scrolls up by one. I feel like I assume there's time in seconds over here. So there's 2 seconds there and 2 seconds there. And then there's 7 seconds and then like 30 seconds or so before another one comes up. So it's just randomly I'm getting this status message on this FTDI adapter. It's the FTDI to RS-232 serial for the laser. And so it just randomly pops up a message. But over here, how do I scroll that? Oh, I can't scroll now. So anyway, so down here, this window down here is showing the, these are my laser scans coming in, and they don't seem to be affected by the fact that that it's doing funny things to me. You know, even though it's getting messages in the D message, it continue right on running. So I think it's just a matter that my eval board doesn't like the funny little messages, and that was killing me before. So it possibly if you put real devices onto the hub, it'll work. It might still get errors, but it doesn't seem to care. And then this up here is just simply doing a ROS topic list. So these are all the topics that got running, and there's a block for the first GPS and a block for the second GPS. I don't need all those turned on, but it's able to do that. So it's putting all this out right now. And it says GPS 1 RTCM. So there's also GPS 0 RTCM. Those are both trying to receive that message. But I don't have anything publishing that. And then here's my ODOM message coming out, and then the scan is the laser scans, the serial is the raw messages coming in, and then it is doing a transform. So that all seemed to be working, and I didn't actually drive it around to verify that the odometry is working correctly. And as I say, I don't have the correction data. I could still take it outside and drive it around, and it should still do the moving baseline, because I think that works without any correction data. So it would tell me, it should give me a fairly accurate with a couple tenths of a degree heading as I drive around. So that's something I could go ahead and test. So if I just say, pipe this stuff to a ROS bag and go drive around and then come back and analyze it, hopefully the heading will be valid coming off that. But I won't know until I actually go try that, I guess. So Let's see. So I guess I'm done showing that. Well, that's where that is. I just got to figure out now how to get correction data and then go out and see what it's going to do. See if it's actually going to do something usable.
Super cool. That statistics node that was publishing, I haven't used that. What is that all about?
The one was called diagnostics, or the one that was called serial. Which one?
It was right above command velocity. I thought
No.
it said statistics.
Let me pull it up again. This one up here, it says diagnostics.
Back in RQT plot or graph, I'm sorry.
Oh, statistics, cross out, GUI Pi node. I think that's just some of the internal raw stuff. I'm not sure what that is, because this thing is, say, this is RQT GUI. That's the program that's being displayed. That's the graph program. So statistics, somehow this program's running has subscribed to that. So possibly if I go up here at the top and click on the right thing, I can display some kind of statistics running on that's going on. I assume that's what that's for.
Okay.
Yeah, it hadn't even occurred to me that was there, because as I say, this thing says RQT GUI Pi node is the thing that's the graph that I'm displaying right now. So that's why it's showing up on there.
Okay.
I guess that's all I have for the moment.
Well, as I said, I'm configuring GPS modems and working on my angle sensor, and then I've got to get my correction data in via radio signal or some other signal. That's what's keeping me busy. Matt's packing for Macau, and Jeff has got 16 things going on.
May have a few more too, but I can't think what they are right offhand.
I'm sure the next order to MPGA is going to be issued soon.
Well, I keep checking the sale bills that come in, and if it's something I absolutely have to have, then I'll dig back through, because there's like 2 or 3 are still valid, even though they call it sale of the week. But if you dig back, they're good for maybe a couple of weeks. So if they pop up something, oh, I got to have one of those, then I'll go through and find, well, what else? Well, I want to go along with that, because if I'm going to pay $6.95 for shipping, I might as well get a whole trunk load of stuff. So I usually end up with a big box of stuff.
You'll be happy to know that my stack of, well, Jeff got it, so I must need it. You know, my stack of those things is growing every day. So the latest is 2 more multi-turn potentiometers, I think. And so anyway.
Also, if you watch your sale bills from MPJA, those nice metal e-stop switches came from there. And so it's instead of being the cheap plastic ones, it's like a metal top on it. They look really nice. And I don't have one laying here handy, and the robot's too far away to see a picture that far. So anyway, they're like $5.95 or something they want for those. And if you put them on sale, they take like $2 off or something.
Cool.
That's one more thing you can put on your list when you're digging through their stuff.
So Matt, next Tuesday, are you on, or are you going to be? Is that what would that mean? That's going to be 8 a.m. or something like that in Macau.
Yeah, it's like 9 a.m. Wednesday morning in Macau. But yeah,
You'll be on.
so yeah, RosCon doesn't start. There's a pre thing that starts at noon on Wednesday, but
Well, it depends how much celebration there is Tuesday night, is whether he's going to be on or not.
that's right.
Okay, guys. Well, Matt, have a wonderful trip, and we will talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
See you guys.
Have a good weekend.
Okay, bye.